4 games on this NHL slate. We got 2 guys here to talk about it. DraftKings contributor Geoff Ulrich is back. RotoWire's Paul Bruno. So we're chasing or fading on the ice. Do you agree or disagree with the following DFS or sportsbook plays on tonight's NHL slate? Lightning are in Arizona to take on the Coyotes, who will be playing in a college arena the next 3 years. It's 5,000 seats. That's it. So it's, yes, by far the smallest NHL arena. Anyway, Brayden Point is coming off a goal and an apple against Colorado, 24 DK fantasy points. $6,900. He will be cheaper than guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. So chase or fade for me. That Point in a good matchup is your favorite play at center tonight, Geoff.
Yeah, we could talk about that Arizona stadium issue for a big segment if we wanted to. But center's really interesting tonight because we have the Oilers and it's a unique situation. They just got rid of their head coach. There's a clear price gap between Draisaitl, McDavid, and just everybody else on the slate. But you've got Brayden Point at 6,900 facing the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, I have to chase this. Brayden Point has been a lot better, just from a fantasy perspective with Nikita Kucherov on the ice. His shots on goal, he's averaging about 4. This is like he's well over his career average just in terms of just volumes of shot directed at the net, which is really nice for fantasy, averaging 13 fantasy points, DraftKings points over his last 10 games too. So with Kucherov on the ice, I mean, you just see Brayden Point. I think he benefits more than anyone on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And in this matchup, I mean, look, I think one of the Oilers center is probably going to have a decent night, but I mean, I got to chase Brayden Point as the best play at center. It's just too good a matchup with Arizona on the slate.
Paul, you agree? Chasing it, too good of a matchup?
Completely agree. There's nobody that Tampa that will oppose this guy tonight from the other team in Arizona. They just are lightweights, and I think Tampa's going to be a little ticked off too after losing a squeaker in one of the games of the year that I saw last night. If you want to pivot from that or maybe pair him with somebody else, I'm looking at the Oilers game, but I'm taking the other side and looking at second line center Brock Nelson to plug into my lineup for $4,800. And look for this first guy to build on his point per game pace over his last 10 starts. I think the Oilers are far from out of the woods yet.
All right, guys, let's go to the wing. On the wing here, you could stack guys like Kucherov or Stamkos with Point, but it'll cost you a pretty penny for sure. Or you could go down to someone like Troy Terry, who is also in a good matchup against Seattle and will only cost you, $5,800. So chase or fade Terry is a good cost-saving option, though, on the wing, Paul.
I have to agree with you again that this makes a lot of sense. Terry's got 7 goals and 4 helpers in his last 10 games, and he meets all my markers for success and saves some money, as you suggest. So I have to consider him in my lineup. And I like to pair him also. I'm going back to the Tampa game and saying Andre Palat at $5,300 makes a lot more sense too, because he's playing a left-wing role on the top line alongside Point and Kucherov against the lowly Coyotes. At these price points, I'll use both of these guys tonight.
All right, talk to me here. Chasing or fading this at wing, Geoff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Terry is a terrible player or anything like that. I'll fade this, though, for a couple of reasons. Seattle's played a little bit better defensively. They've gotten a little bit better goaltending of late. And I think realistically the best value here is with Jason Robertson at $5,900. I don't know why he's priced under $6K today. The Jets are just, I mean, they had like one good game, but they're really not playing well at all. They're not a good defensive team. Robertson has just been fantastic. I mean, that entire Dallas Stars first line, I mean, you should just be targeting this trio every night. They're so well correlated for daily fantasy. They produce in all kinds of spots. Robertson, 13 points in his last 10 games. He's got 7 goals. He's just a really, really good young player. I love Jason Robinson, and he's just too cheap at this price. So the opportunity there is better with Robertson. You can even go down to Evander Kane at 56. So, I mean, Troy Terry's fine too, but I would actually rank him third among those 3 players I mentioned.
All right, guys. On the blue line, Victor Hedman's going to cost you $7,100 to roster. That's almost $1,000 more than the next closest guy. So we've talked about that matchup against the Coyotes, but that's a lot to spend on a D-man. Chase that you need Hedman tonight, or fade him in favor of a cheaper option who could get you similar production here, Geoff.
I'm going to fade Hedman now. I don't think that this is necessarily the slate where you want to go paying up on defense. I think especially with Tampa Bay, like having a weak opponent, you can just pay down for Mikhail Sergachev. Pretty similar production if we're being dead honest. I mean, Sergachev's been very productive this year just for daily fantasy purposes. He doesn't score a ton of goals, only got 2 goals. So, I mean, maybe the upside isn't quite as heightened with Sergachev, but this is a player who's averaging 4.4 shots on goal and blocked shots over his last 10 games. That is fantastic production from a guy who's only 4,600. And again, we have the Arizona Coyotes on the slate. So, I mean, he's also a player who averages over 0.5 points per game. And now he's got the Coyotes. He gets you a little bit of power play exposure. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Sergachev showed up with a goal here tonight just because it's Arizona. So I think that's where the best value, not only from this game, but on defense lies. And I think there's a couple other options like that. Like we could throw like maybe like Vince Dunn, maybe Tyson Barrie down there at 3,400. I just think it's a really good slate to pay down instead of paying up on defense.
Paul, you going to be paying up or paying down on defense?
I'm paying down. Geoff hit all my points, so I'm just going to repeat a couple. Sergachev, $4,600. That's a bargain against a lowly Coyotes team. Don't forget, this guy's going to get a lot of offensive zone starts, and he also has a ton of blocked shots over the last 10 games too to boost his DK value to over 11 points per game. So that's the floor tonight, I think, for the $4,600 price tag. I think he goes way over. And I can't completely fade the Oilers, despite the fact I've panned them already. But their power play quarterback, Tyson Barrie, only $3,400 tonight. I mean, even if they don't do anything at even strength, this is too potent an attack when they have the extra man. And he only needs a point to make the floor there. So I think it's a very solid play to take in tonight.
Paul, get us out of here with this. Your slate-approved picks. So your favorite DFS or sportsbook play tonight is who and why?
Well, I kind of think that Geoff tipped this off. I'd see a healthy Dallas club getting ready to host a Winnipeg team that's missing two of their top six forwards. This looks like a spot for Dallas to continue with their high-scoring ways of late. I look for the veterans like Tyler Seguin to continue his recent point-per-game pace to fill out my roster at the bottom end, paying $5,000 for him. His shot rate's over 3 per game, and he's got 13 DK points per game over his last 10. I think that's, again, his floor tonight. If you're into a cheap Tampa Bay stack like I am, I also think Alex Killorn for $4,800 to participate in a domination of Arizona tonight and build out his point per game pace over the last 10 games makes sense too.
All right, Geoff, you going to DFS or your sportsbook here for your best play?
No, I mean, I like to hear when I'm on the same side as Paul, especially for the money lines. I do like Dallas money line tonight. I think that they're not getting enough respect at home at -165. I think you could even just think about them on the puck line at +155. The Jets aren't a good team. The Dallas Stars' first line is not going to be stopped by anyone on the Jets defense, so I like that. And I think for player props, you can look at a couple shots on goal, guys. For the New York Islanders going up against the Edmonton Oilers, Oilers are a bottom half of the league just in terms of shots allowed. I like Matthew Barzal at +120 there to go over his shots on goal total. I think that's a good player prop to target.